Elara Voss stood motionless in the center of the comms room, listening to the last transmission from Theta 7. It wasn't a call for help. It wasn't medical codes or coordinates. Just screams, raw, agonized, endless. The orbital hospital hadn't sent a distress beacon. They hadn't had time. A technician whispered from across the console bank. It looped. Same 30 seconds. Over and over. Elara didn't respond. She watched the monitor flicker. Static. A brief glimpse of charred steel walls. Then the audio kicked in again, screams, crackling fire, a child sobbing in the background. Her brother had been stationed there. Dr. Aaron Voss. Humanitarian volunteer. Surgeon. A man who refused to carry even a scalpel unless it healed. The screams cut off. Shut it down, Elara said. The technician nodded silently. She turned and left the room without a word. The hallway outside was bathed in artificial blue, peacekeeping tones, designed to calm. It felt obscene. High Command's chamber was only a few levels up, behind thick glass and red tape. She didn't have clearance, but that had never stopped her before. Her badge swiped green. No one stopped her. No one dared. Inside, holograms of sector maps flickered between 3 admirals and 2 diplomats, their voices low and nervous. Elara, Admiral Burns said, blinking. You're not supposed to be. She slammed a data chip onto the table. Theta 7 was neutral. Medical. Non-combatant. They purged it. Vice Admiral Kashiro frowned. We're aware. We're reviewing the incident. It wasn't an incident, she snapped. It was genocide. And we're still talking? Diplomat Reese leaned forward. The Galactic Charter requires an official inquiry. We're pressing for investigation through the Joint War Ethics Tribunal. They'll stall it for months. Elara's voice lowered. By then, the Empire will hit Virex, or New Europa, or any other outposts where they think we won't fight back. Earth can't afford a war, Burns said gently. Not with the other species watching. Elara didn't reply. She just stared at them for one long second, turned, and walked out. 2 hours later, her shuttle detached from the orbital platform. She had submitted no flight plan, filed no requests. The override codes still worked. She set course for the Tartarus vaults. In the silence of deep space, memories surfaced. The last call from Aaron. You worry too much, Elle. They're not monsters. The war's over. They signed the charter like we did. But monsters didn't sign peace treaties. They burned hospitals. The Tartarus vault orbited the dead side of Mars, a prison satellite with no windows, no atmosphere, and no visitors. Its only occupants were ghosts of Earth's darkest days, cryolocked in the name of peace. The computer greeted her flatly. Welcome, Major Elara Voss. Do you wish to access Level Black? Yes. Authorization required. She entered the sequence. Her fingers didn't shake. A moment later, the inner vault doors hissed open. Frost laced the metal corridor ahead. Rows of cryopods lined the chamber, sleek, angular coffins humming with latent terror. Each bore the name of someone who had once made alien empires tremble. She stopped in front of Pod A01. Kale Thorne, General, War Designation, the Butcher. Convicted of 83 counts of planetary war crimes. Life sentence, cryostasis. No parole. Elara placed her palm on the biometric reader. Override Protocol Cerberus. Open pod. Confirm intent, the AI said. This action is irreversible. I confirm. With a hydraulic shudder, the pod hissed. Frost evaporated in curling tendrils. The man inside opened his eyes, pale blue, cold as death. He stepped out slowly, barefoot on steel, towering over her in ragged cryoware. You're not command, he said, voice dry, gravel-edged. You woke me. I need your help, Elara said. Kale looked around at the silent vaults. You do realize what I am? She nodded. You were sealed for doing what needed to be done. We all know it. Kale studied her. The world changed while I slept. I watched the feed loops. Earth became soft. Peaceful. Scared. They slaughtered our medics, Ilara said. Unarmed. The Empire doesn't fear us anymore. A pause. A slow grin spread across his face. Then let's fix that. Hours later, Ilara watched from the command deck of the shuttle as 4 more pods hissed open. Each one was another nail in the coffin of diplomacy. General Thorn Kale. Sarah Vox. Grinder. Vorton. Bishop. She wasn't releasing soldiers. She was releasing vengeance in human form. And she knew what it meant. They weren't heroes. They were war criminals. And now they were hers. The Cerberus squad assembled in silence, standing in the red-lit chamber of the Tartarus hangar. They didn't salute. They didn't speak. They simply watched, each one scanning Ilara as if measuring the odds of needing to kill her later. Thorn Kale was the first to speak. What's the target? Virex Prime, Ilara said, flipping on the holodisplay. A volcanic planet, red and writhing, appeared midair. Empire Command Base. They started moving fleets there. Black Sun Division. A growl rumbled from the back. Grinder. Muscled like a freight hauler, stitched with tattoos that weren't ink but burn marks. Black Sun. He spat. Didn't think those bastards were still breeding. They're not just breeding, said Sarah Vox, voice crisp, surgical. They're purging frontier colonies. You're saying this is real time? Ilara nodded. This isn't diplomacy. They want Earth isolated. They're bleeding us out while pretending they aren't at war. Vox stepped forward. Half her face was chrome, burned away in a cybernetic overload during the siege of Osiris. She leaned into the projection. I'll need access to their orbital firewalls. And I want my tools. You'll get them, Ilara said. But we're not storming the front door. First, we need to intercept one of their fleet's outposts, Moon Base Drela. It's a forward fueling station. Small garrison. If we hit it hard and fast, we can hijack their fleet signatures. Kale cracked his knuckles. We get to kill again. Finally. Not just kill, Ilara said. Send a message. The shuttle they stole from Tartarus, codenamed Judgment, was old, pre-peace era, stripped of all soft design. Its walls were armored, the engine loud and angry. Ilara stood in the command pit, arms crossed as stars blurred past. Behind her, the war criminals paced like wolves. Bishop, silent so far, leaned over the navigation terminal. He looked human, but there was something wrong about him, too smooth, too still. An AI consciousness stuffed inside cloned flesh. Once Earth's most brilliant strategist. Now unpredictable. I've reviewed their defense systems, he said without looking up. We'll have 4 minutes between breach and orbital alert. After that, they'll jam comms and fry the approach lane. 4 minutes is generous, Sarah said. I'll have their entire sensor grid looping on itself in 3. Ilara watched them with unease. They worked well together, too well. No hesitation. No fear. Like machines built for a single purpose. You're quiet, Kale said suddenly beside her. She didn't flinch. I don't enjoy what we're doing. He gave her a sideways glance. But you chose to do it. That's what separates you from the others. They send us to the grave. You dug us back up. Because we're out of options. Kale leaned in, voice low. The galaxy thinks humans are pacified. Civilized. Weak. But they forget. Our kindness was never the whole truth. Mu Base Drela appeared on the sensors like a cancer spot, barely inhabited, tucked into the shadow of its orbiting rock. As the Judgment dropped into silent glide, Ilara gave the command. Engage. The ship accelerated, a whisper in vacuum. Grinder manned the breech cannon. Sarah plugged into the ship's targeting AI. Kale readied his blade, not for ceremony, but for fear. It was forged from pre-tech tungsten. No energy signatures. No scans. They entered the base through the engine ducts, old-school infiltration. Within seconds it turned into slaughter. Ilara followed through the corridor, as Kale cleaved two guards in half. Sarah hit the control panel, frying lights and unlocking bulkhead doors. Grinder roared ahead, tossing a grenade that bounced once before sucking half the corridor into vacuum. They moved like a plague. Precise. Devastating. She found herself hesitating once, watching Kale hold a young alien officer by the throat, inches off the ground. Unarmed, Elara said. Kale didn't blink. Black Sun doesn't surrender. The alien coughed blood. We're just logistics. Kale dropped him. The officer gasped once, then Kale snapped his neck. Elara said nothing. In under 3 minutes, the base was silent. Bishop uploaded falsified fleet credentials into their systems. We now appear to be a patrol vessel from the 19th Imperial Task Fleet. They'll wave us through. Sarah sat down, fingers twitching with static. Virex won't know we're coming. Elara stepped into the command chamber, watching as the Empire's data flickered across the stolen terminals. Satellite scans. Refugee camps. Fleet formations. She saw the timestamp, 3 days until Virex sterilization. 3 days until 20,000 civilians were turned to ash. We're going to Virex, she said. Kale leaned against the wall, smiling. And what then? He asked. We end the Black Sun, Elara replied. Publicly. Brutally. No misunderstandings. He nodded. Good. Then, for the first time since Tartarus, she saw it in his eyes. Not bloodlust. Pride. Back aboard the Judgment, Sarah opened a secure channel. Sending a message to the Empire. Elara stepped beside her. What do we say? Sarah smirked. Let's make it poetic. The screen went live. A static-filled image of Elara appeared. No background. Just her voice. To Commander Zyril and the Galactic Empire. You killed our doctors. Our healers. Our wounded. So we unsealed the vault. We are not the diplomats. We are the reason you needed them. Transmission sent. Virex was next. Virex Prime wasn't just a target. It was a warning. Molten rivers carved through jagged black plains. Volcanoes spat ash into an already crimson sky. The Empire chose it for strategic value. Elara chose it for symbolic impact. If they could break the Black Sun division here, the galaxy would remember. The Judgment dropped into low orbit, shielded by the stolen fleet codes. Inside, the Cerberus squad readied without orders. No fanfare. No battle cries. Just silence and ritual. Bishop linked into the planetary grid. Orbital defenses blind in 20 seconds. Ground forces centered in Sector Kappa. Civilian shelters deeper, under lava shelves. They're rigging them for incineration. Elara's stomach turned. They're planning to burn them alive? Yes, Bishop confirmed. With a broadcast. To dissuade further resistance. Sarah cracked her knuckles. Let's cut the feed. Kale strapped his blade to his back. No mercy. No, Elara agreed. Not today. The drop was violent, intentional. A black dart punching through the atmosphere. Cerberus hit the surface hard, ramps slamming down into chaos. Empire soldiers scattered as fire sprayed from Grinder's cannon. He moved like a siege engine, impossible to slow, immune to fear. Kale carved through troopers as if reliving an old dream. No theatrics. Every strike a lesson in efficiency. Elara advanced through a canyon of steel and volcanic glass, flanked by Bishop's drones and Sarah's cybernetic shadows. They left no trail. They didn't need to. Everyone knew they were coming. Zyril's voice crackled through the base intercoms. So Earth sends its monsters. How poetic. Elara grabbed a fallen trooper's calm. This is Elara Voss. We don't need to talk. I disagree, Zyril replied, voice calm. You're not here to win. You're here to scream. She shut off the channel. They reached the command center's outer ring, a fortress of obsidian walls and plasma turrets. Too fortified for a direct push. We split, Elara said. Sarah and Bishop, disable interior systems. Shut down comms and launch control. Copy. Sarah nodded. Kale, Grinder, you draw fire. Make it loud. Grinder grinned. Loud's the only volume I know. Kale just turned and walked. Elara moved through a maintenance shaft, breathing recycled sulfur. Her rifle tight against her chest. She emerged in the central spire, Xyrel's throne of command. He waited atop a narrow platform, flanked by guards unmoved. You're late, he said. You're dead, Elara replied. He gestured to the projection behind him, thousands of civilians in subterranean shelters. Timers ticking down. I press one command, he said, and Virex becomes memory. You won't. I will. Because I understand war. You've confused revenge with victory. Elara raised her rifle. We confused peace with safety. That was our mistake. She fired. His guards dropped in 2 shots. Xyrel lunged forward, fast, augmented. He knocked her weapon aside and struck her jaw. Pain exploded across her skull. She staggered, ducked under the next swing, drove her knife into his side. He snarled. Primitive. We're still alive. They grappled. He slammed her into the console. She kicked off, twisting, breaking his arm with a sharp crack. He screamed, not in pain, but rage. You'll be hunted for this. We already are. She fired into his chest at point-blank range. He dropped, convulsing. She grabbed the control panel and disabled the detonation sequence. All sectors, she said into the comm. Civilians safe. Black Sun Command is dead. Outside, fire rained across the Empire's final defenses as Kale and Grinder pushed through the last barricade. Bishop's override shut down every gun in the base. It was over in 10 minutes. Hours later, under the shadow of ruined towers, Kale stood beside Elara. His armor stained with ash and blood. We did what we were built for, he said. Now what? You return to stasis, Elara said. He blinked. You're serious? I didn't bring you back for freedom. I brought you back for justice. Kale looked across the battlefield. Justice is subjective. We just committed genocide, on the right side this time. She met his gaze. I'll live with it. Will you? He smiled. I always have. Back on the Judgment, Sarah transmitted the final broadcast to the galaxy. To the Galactic Council. You silenced our medics. We answered in a language you understand. This is your only warning. The screen cut. Cerberus returned to cryostasis. One by one, locked in again. Except Kale. His pod stayed open. Elara stood alone in the bay, watching him walk toward the shadows. Where will you go? She asked. He paused. Somewhere that remembers what fear tastes like. And then he vanished. Above Virex Prime, Earth's flag burned bright on every hacked frequency. A phoenix, risen in fire, returned with claws.